Welcome to this video today. We will talk about the Mona Lisa. First, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive all new. Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa, or Gioconda, is a 16th-century half-century portrait of a lady believed to be Lisa Giocondo, by the artist, architect, and Italian sculptor Leonardo da Vinci, who painted it during the Italian Renaissance. In finishing her, da Vinci used an oil painting and a black wood plank. This painting is the property of the French government as it is hung there on the wall of the Louvre Museum behind a bulletproof glass panel and in an environment controlled by climate. This painting has been described as the most famous artwork in the history of art, the most artwork to be written, praised and visited among them, and it was also described as the most ironically simulated artwork in the world. The name Mona Lisa with this name dates back to art historian Giorgio Vasari when he wrote, Leonardo took the job of filming the Mona Lisa for Francesco del Giocondo, his wife. The word Mona is an abbreviation of the Italian word Madonna, which means my lady, meaning that Mona Lisa means Madame Lisa, and Lisa is most likely the subject of the painting. And the word Madonna was abbreviated among the general public in the daily conversation to Mona. As for the Italian name, La Gioconda, and the French, La Joconde, their origins refer to the Italian word, jocund, which means happy, or fun. It also contains a reference to Lisa's last husband, Giocondo. Today the Mona Lisa is almost the most famous artwork in the world. As the number of visitors reaches 6 million visitors during 1 year, 80% of visitors to the Louvre Museum, but the Mona Lisa did not have this fame until the beginning of the 20th century. At that time it was just one of the many paintings that were highly appreciated. With the beginning of the 19th century, people began to praise da Vinci and it was believed then that he was a genius, and then the fame of the Mona Lisa began to grow gradually with the beginning of the mid-19th century. The reason for her popularity is due to several different reasons, the most important of which is her smile that has been described as vague and vague. It has baffled many people like Sigmund Freud, Harvard professors and countless viewers. Besides this, his use of the method of drawing with a perspective from one point in the background, and there is a matter related to the bulk of the technical composition of this painting, and the method that he used to draw the aerial perspective, as each of them contributes to the delivery of the comprehensive picture of this painting. Although there are few verified facts about the painting, but according to the autobiography written by Vasari on Leonardo, it is clear that da Vinci drew the Mona Lisa while he was living in Florence when he assigned him to Francesco del Giocondo, and he was a wealthy Florentine silk merchant. The task of photographing his wife Lisa Giocondo in 1503, that is, in the Italian Renaissance, when they agreed to hang it on the wall of their new home as a kind of celebration of one of the two occasions, either on the occasion of the birth of their second child Andrea in December 1502, after the death of their daughter in 1499, or on the purchase of the new home. Da Vinci continued to work on it until it was finished in 1519. Da Vinci took the plate with him from Italy to France when he moved there at the invitation of King François I and ended up having died there before being handed over to Francesco Giocondo or his wife Lisa Giocondo, and the reason for not extraditing him the painting of one of the spouses at that time is unknown. There are many stories about how the painting became the property of King François I, but it is certain that it became his property in 1530. At that time it was kept in Fontainebleau Palace where it remained until King Louis XIV transferred it to the Palace of Versailles. After the French Revolution, specifically in 1797, she was transferred to the Louvre Museum, where she has been there ever since. The painter, Leonardo, was born on April 15, 1452, Old Style, 3 o'clock at night, on the hill of Tuscany in Vinci, at the low valley of the Arno River in one of the provinces of the Florentine Republic governed by the Medici. This was the result of an unlawful relationship between the wealthy notary Masaru Ferrosno de Antonio da Vinci and his maid Catherine Vacca. Leonardo did not have any nickname, last name, in the modern sense, since da Vinci simply means, from Vinci. His full name is, Leonardo di Ser Piero da Vinci, which means, Leonardo's son, derived from, Messer, Peru from Vinci. And adding, secret, before his father's name indicates that his father was a respectable man. Leonardo spent the first 5 years of his life in a nag located in Anciano at his mother's house, and at the beginning of 1457 he lived in his father's house, grandfather, grandmother, and uncle in a small town in Vinci. When he was 14 years old, he entered the workshop of the Florentine painter Andrea del Fruccio, who was at that time considered one of the finest workshops, where he trained as an artist with Sandro Botticelli and Pietro Perugino. Leonardo developed the study of mathematics, mathematical engineering, architecture, perspective, and all natural observational sciences, as these sciences were considered indispensable at the time. As a supplement to education, Leonardo studied architecture, engineering. Leonardo, a contemporary of Renaissance and human Renaissance, distinguished in many disciplines, and was called the father of paleontology, technology, and architecture, and was considered one of the greatest painters ever. Sometimes he is credited with inventing the helicopter, the parachute, and the tank. Leonardo served to many influential people such as Lorenzo de' Medici, the Duke of Sforza, the kings of Mantova, and King François I of France. Thanks to the precision of Leonardo's technique, as well as other professions he occupies as a designer and inventor, Leonardo's illustrated product is very rare. Among his most distinguished works are The Virgin of the Rocks, Lady with Kakim, The Last Supper, and the most popular painting of all of them, the Mona Lisa. Description of the plate. The painting shows a portrait of a character, the subject of the painting, in the center of the engineering formation, sitting in a frame of the side profile, and in moderation in a chair without a backrest, with her chest and face slightly wrapped toward the beholder. This sitting position derives from the hierarchical composition that Da Vinci used to add to his painting the suggestion of Madonna seated. And the presence of the personality in the center of training, the engineering center, reflects the main place in which humanity places the individual, and we also see that the intersection of the two countries lies in the heart of the personality. It also appears that her left arm is resting on the armrest of the chair as her right hand embraces her as she makes her way through the middle of her body. The position of her arms and the relationship between them and the armrest of the chair, create a sense of distance between the sitting figure and the beholder. Da Vinci's experience in anatomy is also apparent when looking at the hands, because Da Vinci lived in the hospital to study skeletons and anatomy on more than 30 bodies. The method that Leonardo used to show the upper half of the character's body only, and made it look directly at the scenes was new at the time and made the painting alone in its style from the rest of the world's paintings to this day, as the painters at that time used to make portraits show the chest high and the shoulders just and usually quite sideways. Behind the character appears a natural landscape consisting of mountains, rivers and a foggy horizon, which was used in his drawing The Air Perspective, where blue smoky colors appear, with a clear, faded, and faded point, at which all lines converge, giving their composition a kind of depth, this and despite the fact that details appear a clear imbalance between the rocky horizon on the right, upper side, compared to the plains on the left, lower side, that extend far. We also notice the flat edge of the wall and the rise of two columns on the left and right sides of the panel. The character wears a dark green silk pleated gown in small folds on the front, with yellow sleeves. The neckline is gilded with interlocking lines and embroidered. The character wears a transparent black veil that covers her curly and twisted hair, which falls on her shoulders. The narrow eyes stare at the viewer and followed him even when moving, due to the fact that it is perpendicular to the flat surface of the image. The identity of the seated character. Mystery surrounds the history of the Mona Lisa. There is no accurate information about the painting, or there is little information available. Among the facts enveloped in obscurity, the time Leonardo took to paint the painting, the remuneration paid to him for this work, the period in which he kept the painting, and how it got to France. In addition, there is the identity of the character that is the subject of this painting, as there is still no definitive evidence from which to know the identity of this character exactly, and on the other hand contains the biography of Leonardo da Vinci written by Giorgio Vasari in 1550, i.e. 31 years after the death of da Vinci, has a lot of information about the Mona Lisa, which is now the most important source for information on the identity of the character sitting in the painting. According to this biography, the seated figure is Lisa Gherardini, wife of wealthy merchant Francesco del Giocondo, who said in his biography The Life of the Best Photographers, Sculptors and Architects 1550, Leonardo took over the task of drawing the Mona Lisa for Francesco del Giocondo, his wife. After she lingered in her drawing for 4 years, he left it unfinished, and she is now in the possession of the French king, François, at the Fontainebleau. After the painting was discovered, several questions arose about the identity of the seated character. Although historians have agreed that the sitting character is Lisa Gherardini, there is a group of people who have agreed that this painting is in fact a self-portrait, and that the features of the face are very similar to another self-portrait of Leonardo's work. There are many other theories about the identity of a sitting character based on a body of scattered evidence, but the painting is unsigned and undated. Although the portraits at that time contain something indicating the family name of the seated character, or marital status, nothing like this is present in the Mona Lisa, and no record of any authorization for the painting is found in Leonardo's papers. There are many other women than Lisa who have been nominated to be one of them seated, and Isabella is from Aragon, Cecilia Gallerani, Costanza from Avalos, Duchess of Francavilla, Isabella from Este, Pacifica Brandano or Brandino, Isabella Gualanda, and even Katrina Sforza, and even Salai and Leonardo himself are all on the list. On the other hand, some historians such as Silvano Vincente believe that the Mona Lisa is not a female or even a male, but rather a mixture of the two together in one body. The historians of art in the 21st century agreed on the same traditional view that had long prevailed, that the character sitting in the painting is Lisa del Giocondo. The fame. Today, the Mona Lisa is considered the most famous painting in the world. But until the 20th century the painting was one of many distinguished artworks. When the Mona Lisa was among the collection of François I of France, it was among the first artworks to be exhibited at the Louvre, which became a national museum after the French Revolution. Since the 19th century, Leonardo has become revered as a genius, and the popularity of the painting has increased since the mid-19th century when French intellectuals developed a key idea of the fact that the painting is somewhat mysterious and represents fatal homosexuality. The Pedicure Guide in 1878 called it the most famous work of Leonardo at the Louvre, but the painting was more popular with the educated elite than the general public. Mona Lisa was said to have been considered just another Leonardo until the beginning of the last century, when the scandal stolen the Louvre and the spotlight came to light again, after the return of several years ago. From December 1962 to March 1963, the French government exhibited the painting in New York and Washington, D.C., and it was shipped on SS France. In New York, it was estimated that there were about 1.7 million visitors waiting in line to look at the Mona Lisa no longer than 20 seconds or so. In 1974, the painting was displayed in Tokyo and Moscow. In 2014, 9.3 million people visited the Louvre, and former museum director Henry Yoret considered that 80% of them only wanted to see the Mona Lisa. The financial value. Before the 1962–1963 tour, the painting was evaluated for insurance of approximately $100 million. They were not insured at the time, but rather a greater amount was spent on security and protection. By adjusting the value according to inflation, according to the U.S. Consumer Price Index, $100 million in 1962 equals about $782 million in 2015, making it virtually the most expensive art painting in the world. In 2014, an article published by France 24 suggested that selling a painting could help relieve local debt, although the report also stated that selling the Mona Lisa and other similar artworks is prohibited under the French Heritage Act, which states, archives of museums belonging to public bodies considered public ownership and cannot be otherwise.